What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I have Angela Keener with us with the Keener Messer Group at Keller Williams Consultants. Angela, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to jump on here and to share your journey.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I know you and I, we go ways back.
That's
From
right.
when I first got into the business out of the
Yeah.
same office, and
Right.
it's been a while since you and I have connected. So I'm excited because we know each other, but I don't really know your story, right? I don't know your journey.
Yeah.
So Angela, on the podcast,
Uh-huh.
it's all about really showing the journey, right? Of telling
Yeah,
people, hey, our failure rate's so high.
it is.
We have the people that come on, it's there's not one way to come into the business. There's not one way to have success,
Right.
right, within this business. And
Yeah.
that's where my passion lies, right? When
Mhm.
I got in, it was you got to go dominate listings, and you got to go and you got to do internet leads, and you got to go and you got to crush open houses. And yes,
Right.
like all of that is great, but that doesn't mean that's how you have to go and do it,
That's
right?
right.
So
It doesn't all feel comfortable to everyone.
exactly. So this the Tell Me More is all about that. And where we start, Angela, is growing up. I want
Mhm.
to know, the history of, you as a kid, where you grew up, what
Yeah.
was life like for you, family, all of those things.
Yeah.
Because I always find usually there's either something that happened, growing up or
Yeah.
in a different career early on that really has a great impact
Okay.
in how they do business and the
It's
success
true.
that they have.
Very
So,
true. So we lived rural. My dad was a farm boy, family farm in Dayton. So he didn't want to live in the city and he didn't want to live in the suburbs. So we always lived on 5 acres. I was taught work ethic. My mother said, if you learn nothing else, you'll learn work ethic. So, and my dad was an appraiser for the bank back in the 70s. So I always heard about appraisals and this and that. Back in the 70s, I'm pretty sure they appraised houses before people would sell them. So my dad would buy houses and we would move all the time. And I really hated it, I got to tell you. But here I am.
so I gotta stop you real quick.
Yeah.
So it was more common to actually have the appraisal done before ever listing.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
At least that's my understanding. So he worked for the bank and he
Cool.
did appraisals. So yeah. And my grandfather was an architect. So my grandpa always took me to job sites and that sort of thing. And I didn't like that either, but here I am. So my parents would buy houses and they would paint them and carpet, and we would actually live in them. This was for them to live. They weren't really flipping, but we would stay 3 to 5 years and then they would turn around and sell and make a nice profit. You always hear this as a kid. So I hated moving. I really hated moving.
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean,
Change schools because they found a great deal on a house or something like that.
how many schools?
I had a great family. I had a great foundation. So,
how many schools did you go to?
Probably 4 or 5.
It's interesting. I had an agent on last year from the Akron, Kent area, and I think he had moved to 5 or 6 different schools growing up, and I went to 3 different schools. Same type of thing. Like my parents always bought older homes, not necessarily to flip, but to work on, right? Sweat equity, all of those things, and we would move around from time to time. And I found now it's a little bit easier for me to go and connect with people than because I was always the new kid, right? Or the newer kid.
Yeah. And I had such a shy side. So that was so tough on me. But
yeah,
you learn.
I'm sure it's definitely helped in your career for sure.
I'm sure it has. You're right.
So growing up, was it like I'm never like you weren't interested in real estate at all?
No, I wasn't interested in real estate. I've always been interested in interior design. And I always thought I would be an attorney.
Okay. So what was the next steps for you after high school? Did you go to college? You jump into the career field, or
I graduated beginning of June, and by the end of June, I was in school to be a travel agent. So I was going to a travel academy so I could become a travel agent. My mom thought it would be great and I could travel the world. So I got on board somehow. And I was a travel agent from the age 18 for, oh my God, probably 12 years, 15 years. I still keep my license just in case I need it. And I traveled a lot. And I didn't know when I was becoming a travel agent that I was going into sales. Little did I know. And I was selling vacations.
What I'm curious because that's one of the reasons why I personally like I always tell people I like real estate.
Yeah,
I love real estate from the sense of the investment standpoint.
right.
Um, I, I love helping agents find success in this business, but the reason why I still do the business, even though I did not love selling houses,
Right.
was because of the opportunity that it gave me with my lifestyle of being able to go and travel and have experience. So,
Absolutely. I agree
what
with that.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your favorite place that you visited?
I go to Jamaica a lot. I really like it. It's a very calm, chill vibe. The water's so calm. We were there last week and we just floated all day long. Not a care in the world.
Do you have a place on the bucket list that you haven't been to yet?
I mean, I would love to go to Fiji, Tahiti, those places. I'm not sure you're going to get me on a plane for that long, to be honest. I love
I'm always
Hawaii, but I've done that a few times and I think I'm finished. I'm like, okay, enough. I've done it. Too long of a flight. I'm over it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So you did that for, you said 12 to 18 years or so.
yeah, I mean, I got in when I was 18. I was really, really young. I had no idea what I was doing or getting myself into. And it really did turn out to be a great career. Um, you traveled a lot, and honestly, that was your benefit because you didn't make a lot of money. And quite honestly, I decided to get a divorce and I needed to make more money. So I had
Yeah.
to figure out how I was going to survive. And I chose real estate and I got in 05 and the market crashed in 08. So
So
we survived.
it's interesting because you know, obviously you had some of that experience not as a real estate agent like
Right.
in your household, right? But you had
Yeah.
some of the experience of being in the industry,
Right.
different capacities and seeing it happen. Was it that you leaned into as far as why real estate was going to be the next move?
I honestly think it was probably my love of interior design and the thought that I could have a flexible schedule.
So you get in for those things, and you said
Mhm.
2005 is when you got licensed.
Yeah.
I'm always curious, and I'm assuming as a travel agent you were probably commission based. Is that correct? Or
We actually had a base salary and then we got bonuses.
okay,
I was always the top salesperson, so I don't know. Sales has always just worked for me.
yes. Well, I'm curious because a lot of people real estate it's not their first career choice, right? Usually it's
Right.
second, third, fourth,
That is
fifth,
very true. Yeah.
and and you're literally giving up a lot of people for a lot of us. It was
Hmm.
a steady pay, right, and then going to 100% commission.
Yeah.
When you made that switch, what was that thought process like? Because there's a lot of agents that are scared to make that transition, right? A lot of people, that's what holds them back is the lack of sense of security. For
Yeah.
you, what helped you make that decision? And then did you have doubters or supporters when you said, hey, I'm going to go get my real estate license?
I didn't have any doubters. I think I was laying in the pool one afternoon in August, and my cousin was at my house, and she had talked about buying a house in Dayton, Ohio. And I said, I think I want to go into real estate. And in 24 hours, I was signed up for the classes. So once I decide I'm doing something, I do it. Um, Failure is not an option. Being a travel agent really wasn't that easy. And obviously, we all know real estate is a tough job, and people just don't realize that.
Yeah.
And sadly, I didn't know enough at the time I chose to go into real estate that it was going to be tough. Um, I made a quick decision and I made that decision and I announced my decision and that was it.
It's one of those things where, like a travel agency, and I talk to agents and younger agents about this all the time. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know, people do not have to go out and buy and sell real estate, right?
True.
They don't
That's right.
have to buy something. They don't have to sell their home.
right?
probably the same thing in your former career as well, right? Like people don't necessarily need to go on vacation, let alone use a travel agent to do so,
That's right. That's right.
to get it set up.
Yeah.
In 2005, what were some of those ways that you focused on getting into the business and really getting things rolling? Because obviously, a couple years later, and we'll
Hmm.
touch on it a little bit. Market went down and
Right.
crashed a little bit. So, how did you go about those first couple years of really going and growing your business?
Well, I rented an office at the Keller Williams office. And that was great stability for me because I had somewhere to go to work every day. Even if I wasn't working or didn't have any work, I had somewhere to go and focus. Um, my office was down the hall from the conference room. I attended every single class. I didn't miss a class. Um, was I making any money? No, no. I'm very lucky that I had a grandmother that said, "Hey, I'm going to give you your inheritance early so you can survive and learn real estate." And that's what saved me. And that allowed me to go to every class and every event and get to know people and really immerse myself into the industry.
And sometimes, we need that,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
and I when you hear experienced agents tell newer agents, and it's the same thing. It's so cliche, right? Like, just get
yeah.
into the office,
That's
right?
what
Just get
I
to the
tell my team
trainings.
that. Please go to classes. And I keep requiring classes. I'm just go. Finally, I'm like sending emails out like, okay, this is a good class. This is a good agent. You will learn a lot. Go to this. They just, I have a great coach and, it's all about mindset. We all know that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to teach my agents on the team. It's like, just go immerse yourself, get into the industry, meet some agents, get the feel for it. If you could just get yourself into the class, I think it helps a lot.
It's half the battle, just showing
Mhm.
up. And
It
and I
is.
try to encourage them, you don't need to take away 20 things, right?
Right.
Take away one thing.
That's what I say every
And
time. You're going to take away at least one thing, maybe two. But if you walk away with one thing to build your career, that's great.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And sometimes it's just one person that you may meet. Like for me, right? I got lucky. I met
yeah,
Ryan, and
yeah,
that was my mentor from day
right.
one, and you
Exactly.
just never know, right? You never know. But if you
That's
don't ever put
exactly right.
yourself
Yeah,
into the environment,
right.
it's
And
going to be
I
a lot
joined the
harder.
team. I mean, I think I was at Keller Williams 3 months and I realized I needed to be on the team. So I joined a team and I learned a lot, a lot. So,
Well, what was it about a team specifically? Because some people get into the business, right? And they're like, hey, I want to do it myself. And some
yeah,
people get into the business and they do join a team. What for you, what
right.
was it that you saw, you know,
I
that was
didn't
the
know
next
what I
step for
didn't
you?
know, to be honest, but I thought I don't know anything. And at least I'll have someone to learn from, someone I can call and ask questions, a mentor. So, yeah, I joined Kevin Coffey's team like 3 months in, and I think I was there for 3 to 5 years. And I learned a lot, and we became best friends, and I just followed him around and learned everything. So,
You mentioned follow them around. That I
uh-huh.
mean, honestly, I think one of the requirements of our license, and it's never going to happen, should be
Right.
that they have to shadow. It's almost like an apprenticeship,
I've
right?
said that for years. I think a team should be required because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
I do feel
yeah,
like there's some agents out there that are just winging it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
yeah.
So,
Do you remember what your transaction count or income was those first couple of years getting into the business? And do you remember what you focused on in order to get clients?
well, that team did a lot of internet leads. So I would sit in my office and call leads all day long. And he would say, beat a dead horse. I don't care what you do, just beat a dead horse. Tell them they told you to call them back 3 months ago. I'm like, okay. And I got clients, and some would text and say, "Who is this?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm Angela. You submitted a request to see houses." I'm like, and a few I got. So, and
Yeah,
income, at first it was good, and then the market crashed. And I'll be honest, I made 14,000 one year, and that was scary. That was so scary.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How did you transition during that time into the market? And did you guys make changes to your approach of how you went and got business? Because a lot of people got out, right? And a lot of
A
people,
lot of people
had
got
the
out.
same.
Yeah.
same experience that you had, right? They just needed to survive, right? They just
Yeah,
needed to
it
ride it
was
out.
survival for sure. Now we thrive, but there's a lot of years where you just have to survive until you get to that point.
Yeah. Did you guys change your approach at all?
Well, there wasn't any money to buy leads at that point. Nobody had any money. We did a lot of open houses, a lot of networking. Um, that was a time where people were not buying and selling.
Yeah.
And we sold a lot of low end houses at that point just to survive.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I always say, like, I feel lucky that I got in 2011 because I got the tail end of it. I
yes,
didn't have to go through it, but it honestly made me become a better agent over time. And I believe anyone that went through that time period that's still in the business that did not get out,
right.
because those were the hard
Those were the hard
conversations.
years. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, eh, I again, I can't speak to it. I caught the tail end, so I had some of these conversations, but
yeah,
you know, sitting down with every seller and saying, hey, you're gonna have to bring money to the table in order to sell, right? Or
yeah.
hey, we need to think about what's a better option, short sale or going
Yes,
through the foreclosure
yes,
process.
yes.
And
We sold so many foreclosures and so many short sales. And the crazy thing was, going in, you would have to tell somebody, we have no idea when you're going to be able to close. No idea. It's like, well, when do you need to move? Well, I need to move in 30 days or 60 days. I'm like, I can't guarantee that. It's the
yeah,
luck of the draw, you know? And
yeah,
I would go into an appointment and say to people with short sales and foreclosures, I'm like, don't hate me. You cannot hate me by the end of this, because I'm telling you now, I don't know when you're going to be able to close.
yeah,
And some of those we wrote offers in May and we didn't close until New Year's Eve. I remember one specifically.
yeah,
So
yeah. I remember one deal that took, I think, 8 months was
yeah,
I think that was the longest deal I've ever had,
right.
was about eight
Yeah,
months
yeah,
on a short sale. On a
yeah,
short sale.
yeah. I think
So
mine was
Angela,
9 or 10. So
yeah, yeah, you make it through that time period, right? And you come
mhm,
out on the other side.
yeah.
Kind of lead me up to current day of how you've continued to evolve and build your
Mhm.
business. Kind of what was the next step in your career
Well,
after that?
I went to another team and I didn't. I that team was not the right thing for me. So then I jumped over to a more prominent team. Um, and I stayed on that team probably 9 years, and I did learn a lot. Sold a lot of houses, and when that team decided to leave Keller Williams, I didn't think it was the right thing for me, so I stayed, and that's how I started my own team. So that's been a year and a half ago.
Okay. So you just love and you're probably like me, like I just love being on a team, like I
I
love being
do. I like
around.
the camaraderie. I like, everybody works together. Everybody answers everyone's questions. I do. I enjoy being on a team. I think it's the best thing for me.
Did you ever see yourself leading a team?
No, no. And the owners of the travel agency that I used to work for, they were like second parents to me. And she always said, "You're going to have your own team someday." And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not. There's no way." Well, here I am. So,
What what about that transition, going from a team member to now a team
mhm.
lead and leading others? What's your biggest takeaway from that?
Good question. Lead.
I,
You must lead. You lead.
the reason why I ask you is because, I think a lot of times, either individual agents or agents on teams think
Mhm.
that, hey, I need to go and do this myself, right? Or I need to go and build a team.
Right.
And it's kind of like our industry, right? It looks easier
It looks easy.
looking at it than actually
Yeah.
doing it. And like for
Right.
me, I've been on the same team, I've been with Ryan since day one of my career.
That's amazing.
And I tell people all the time, I'm like, part of the reason why I go out and build my own team, 1000%. He
Right.
taught me
Right.
everything. I know
Yeah.
how to do it. But
Absolutely.
part of it was I don't want the extra stress.
That's
And
what
some of
I
that
always say.
stress is
That's what
paying
I
the
always say.
bills, right? Even more responsibility.
Yeah. More
You know, and
responsibility. Right.
and I think people think that, and my coach tells me this all the time. It's like, what problems do you want to solve for, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
when you're going through that transition of individual agent or on a team to now running your own team,
Yeah.
you think that you're going to be solving the problem that you have currently,
Yeah.
but what it creates is more problems. So it creates a
Oh, it
different
absolutely does.
set of
There's a lot
problems.
more
So
stress and a lot more financial responsibility and holding the agents accountable so that they're working the leads and all that good stuff. So, yeah,
yeah,
a lot more responsibility. I love it. I know it was the right choice for me at the right time. Timing's everything.
yeah,
But yes, a lot more responsibility.
yeah. And how are you guys still kind of a lead based team then?
Yeah, we are. I do buy a lot of leads, and I'm always trying different lead sources to see what sticks and what's a waste of money.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. I think we're in an interesting time right now,
Hmm.
just with the market and things like
I do
that.
too. Yeah.
Really figuring out, I always said you have to be willing to pivot the business, right? And really
Correct.
figuring out, what is the next thing in this type of market that we really need to
Right.
be focusing on.
Right.
For us, it's sales side, it's the listing side.
That's what I've been working on this week. Exactly. How are we pulling in
It's
the listings? Yeah.
yeah, and it's not easy doing that, right? It may
Mhm.
be getting back to for sale by owners and expireds and
Yeah.
canceleds and
Right. Right.
a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff that we did 2011, 2012, 2013,
Right. Yeah.
because there's more of them. So
Yeah. Back to the basics.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Angela, I want to kind of transition more to future goals, future pace of,
Yeah.
where you're thinking that you want, your team to go. What's something that you're looking to accomplish here in the next 12 months?
We are growing the team. Um, we're talking to a couple agents right now, seeing if they're the right fit. I want the right fit. I don't just want anyone. I really want people to work together as a team and as a group and help one another. Obviously, our sales goals are increasing as to how much we want to bring in as a team. Um, continued growth, I should say. Um, I always say I'm going to take a step back, and I never do. I never do. Um, it's always 7 days a week, I think, which is why I always take vacations. I'm like, okay, I need a break, and I'm back to 7 days a week. So we'll see. One of these days, maybe I'll take a step back, but not right now.
That's one of the problems that you now have to solve for as a team leader is
Right.
the recruiting piece, right? Which always gets a bad rap for whatever reason in our industry.
Wow. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
But what I found and what we found is the more that you go out and you attract people to your team, right?
Right.
It allows you to scale, and there's a
Yeah.
difference between growth and scaling, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
with growth, your expenses are on the same track as them, and then it gets to that
Right.
point when you get to the point of scaling,
Mm-hmm.
expenses plateau and your revenue and your income starts
Right.
to increase. And if you're a team lead out there that's really growing your team, you know it's hard. And Angela, you know this, it's harder to stay small
It
and
is.
really have people stay a long time
I know.
if you're building their business up.
Right. It's very true. It's
Yeah.
yeah. It's the
What's
turnover. There's a big turnover with teams. Obviously, we know that. My goal is, and I just told someone this yesterday. My goal is to build a team that people want to stay. And
yeah,
I understand and I applaud anyone that wants to go out on their own and start their own team. Everybody deserves to grow and not be shamed for leaving a team and taking what they learned. I applaud that. I don't have any problem with that. But would I love it if they want to stay? Absolutely.
yeah. And
So,
and I believe, as
mhm.
we've seen over the years, you being in the business and on teams, and me being in the business and on team,
Right.
I think the new team model moving forward is going to have to look a little bit different
I agree
than
with you.
what we were brought up on.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is we call them golden handcuffs, right?
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
it's the value adds that you can bring to the table to your agents that are not leads,
That's
right?
right.
That are not transaction support,
That's right.
right? Because those are
Absolutely.
standardized.
Yeah. Yeah. And the agents don't always understand that.
Yeah.
So
You know,
that, as a team lead, you're a phone call away, you're guiding them, you're coaching them, um, keeping them out of trouble.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Angela, what's something that you're looking to accomplish in 5 years?
I'm looking to buy a couple properties out of state, actually. My family has a condo in Tybee Island, so I've looked at that as an investment property. That's my main goal. Continue to grow the team, buy more investment properties. My business partner, Joey Messer, and I are flipping a property in Clintonville right now. It's in the historic district, so it's been a headache, but we'll continue flipping, continue to grow the team, and buy investment properties on the beach.
What do you think that you need to kind of add or put in place for you to, really help accomplish those goals?
I have a lot of newer agents and they're doing great, but I need to continue to help them increase their sales, continue to train them so they can be at a higher level of production. I set goals for them this year and they're actually meeting them and we'll increase the goal next year. So they'll continue to increase. And as they increase, then I'll bring newer agents in and train those agents and we'll continue on.
I love it. I love it. I think it's the accountability piece, especially with the newer agents. It's the accountability
Absolutely.
piece, and then
Yeah.
what you experience and what I experienced, the
Right.
shadowing, right? The
Yes.
apprenticeship.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah.
What's what's um what's a legacy goal for you? What's something that you're looking to accomplish when you're no longer here?
Well, I'm hoping to leave some beach properties to my daughter. And I said that, her eyes lit up. So, hopefully, um, gosh, I don't know. I really don't know. That's a great question. I got to tell you.
Well, I was asked that last year at some point, and in our business, it's always like, okay, what's your 1 year goal? What's your 5 year goal? What's your
I
10 year
know.
goal? Right? For me, it's like, I call it the North Star. Some people call it the why. Right? It's like, what's that one thing that you're chasing? Right? That you may accomplish, you may never accomplish, but it's the one thing, and especially in our business where they don't teach you that the mental side of this game of being a small business owner, the highs and the lows, and like you need something to pull you through all of that, right?
That's true. That's true.
And that legacy question to me, you know, we don't talk about that a lot, right? We don't get asked that question a lot.
That's
So
true.
I'm always curious when I have people on of like, do you have a legacy goal? And if not, that's fine, right? You don't have to have one right now,
Yeah.
but really just something to think about of, what's that thing that I'm always going to be chasing?
Family. It's for me, it's what I leave for my family. Truly. Yeah. And we travel together. My mom and stepdad, we travel together, and I actually enjoy taking care of them and buying their meals when we're on vacation and things like that. So, yeah, it's family. It really comes down to family and the people in your life.
No, I love it. Angela, I got one last question for you,
Okay.
and we always end with this one. If you could give our audience one piece of advice that maybe you wish you had
Yeah.
getting into the business, or one that maybe you tell every single agent that you come across, about this business, about this industry, what would that be?
Stick with it. I made 14,000 one year. Stick with it. Go to every class and don't give up. It's a business that you really need to be laser focused in the beginning. So stay laser focused. Don't give up. I worked 2 jobs for a while when the market crashed, and I made it through.
I love it. Those that are watching, Angela's phone number is down below. If you guys are thinking about buying, selling, investing in real estate, or if you're a real estate agent that just, connected with Angela and her story and wants, to reach out to her to ask questions about the business or her team, feel free to give her a call or send her a message. But Angela, for those that are listening in,
Yeah.
what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Text me. Text me at my phone number, 614-595-6517.
Angela, thanks so much
Thanks, John.
for your time today and coming on here and reconnecting. I know it's been a little while, and I love always hearing the stories of
I do too.
people in our industry because
Yeah.
I find that it's something that we don't necessarily always go back and reflect on.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, and a lot of times it's a pivotal moment or a decision or a life event, that causes us to get into this business.
Right.
Um, and that has a huge impact and really changes
Really.
the trajectory of your life. So,
Yeah.
uh,
I
thanks so
agree.
much for
Thanks,
jumping on
John.
today and
Thank you for
sharing with
having
me.
me. Thank you.
All right, I'll
See
talk
you.
soon.
All right. Bye.